To start off, this story is about a certain businessman in Rome, right? And this certain businessman, he tried all sorts of kinds of businesses, but honestly, a lot of them failed. He tried all sorts of things, whether it was farming, whether it was breeding animals, whether it was selling clothes, and all of them still fell short of his mark. So here's this businessman in Rome, and he's just failing and failing and failing his way through life. And one day he just hears about, not very far from where he lives, that there is a magnificent alchemist, right? And that is a bad businessman's best day ever, the day that he hears about this alchemist, because no matter who you are, where you come from, what horse you rode in, what's the horse's name, this alchemist will grant you the answer to your strangest question, will give you whatever it is that your heart desires. So needless to say that this guy, his mind was made up. So he said, hey, you know what? I'm going to take this trip. I'm going to change my life for the better. So this guy, he started thinking, hey, who do I know that can allow me the instructions that will allow me to get here? So he thought of a savant traveler, well-learned traveler who had traveled the area and knew it just like the back of his hand. So he went and saw that guy. The only downfall is this traveler, he traveled alone. And because he traveled alone, that made him a loner, which means that he had very little people skills. He had very limited interaction with people, but he loved talking to people. So whenever he talked to people, he would always have those long-winded conversations. You know how some people can get, even those people that didn't even want to shoot the breeze with him, they found themselves engaged in stretched conversation with this traveler. So the businessman, he wasn't too keen on spending a lot of his time talking with this traveler because he wanted to take his trip expeditiously, because he wanted to change his life like yesterday, right? So he goes to the traveler because he doesn't have any other options. He said, hey, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. Can you please help me? And I mean, right out the gate, this traveler just starts letting this guy have it, telling him about all the places he's been to, about the fabulous food that he's been able to intake, about the wonderful sights that he's just inhaled. I mean, just telling him about the time that he walked through this poison patch and he had a big rash. I mean, just tell him all kind of stuff that he really didn't care to ask for. So the business was like, yo, I'm not trying to be rude. I really would like to talk to you. As a matter of fact, if I had time to talk to you today, I probably wouldn't, but I would at least be open to it. But today, I definitely cannot spend this time talking to you. I need to take the trip. So all I need for you to do, all I need is for you to tell me how to get to this alchemist. Nothing more, nothing less. That's it. So he told him, okay, this is how you get to the alchemist, right? He said, once you leave outside of the city, you're going to head 3 miles north. You're going to come to a river. Once you come to that river, you're going to swim across the river, get on the other side. Once you cross the river, you're going to go another 2 miles and you're going to come to this shack. You're going to pass the shack on the right side. You're going to continue going. Now, once you get to the shack, they'll let you know you're about halfway. Keep going another 3 miles. Once you get to the end of those 3 miles, you'll see a field of white roses. That'll really let you know that you're close. Only thing you have to do is walk through those fields, and that is where your alchemist would be. Businessman was like, bet, let's do it. So he shook his hand, he grabbed his things, and he went on about his way. So he's pumped up, he's excited, he's motivated. He's going on his journey, right? Comes to the first landmark that the guy told him about, right? He sees the river, crosses the river, no problem at all. As soon as he gets to the other side, he noticed that something is different, something is wrong, right? He's feeling all kind of excruciating pain all over his body. So he's like, what's this? So he takes off his clothes and he uncovers a problem. He's covered in leeches, right? Just covered in them. So the guy pulls out his lighter and he has to burn all of the leeches off one by one, which is not an easy task. Now, I've never had to do it, but I can imagine it's not an easy task. So he burns them all off one by one. He just continues going. He said, hey, let's keep moving. Continues to travel. He comes to his next landmark. He sees the shack that the gentleman was talking about. And just as he was about to pass it, 3 men run out of the shack, start running towards him. So this guy, right, he's never been here before. He doesn't know what to expect. He's kind of startled. He's confused, right? He takes off running, right? And he would have gotten away, only he wasn't as fast, right? So the 3 men, they caught him, they beat him, and they robbed him of everything that he had, right? And as he started regaining his conscience, he started thinking, man, is this really worth it? I came all this way, I got bit by all these leeches. I just got robbed, I just got beat. Do I still want to take this journey? But he said, hey, you know what? I came too far to turn back now. So let's just keep going. So the guy keeps going. Eventually, he comes to the field of white roses that lets him know that he's close. Sees the field of white roses, and again, now he's pumped up. He's got that inspiration back. He's got that motivation back. Man, let's do it. I'm almost here. My answer is about to be taken care of. Everything's about to be fixed in my life if I can just get to this alchemist. So he starts crossing the field, starts making his way through the roses, starts going, right? And he gets to the end to where the alchemist is. Now, here's where the story takes a turn. Because what he learns quickly is from the alchemist is that the alchemist will not grant anyone any information, any advice, any tips that will help them unless someone first presents the alchemist with a gift, with an offering. And after being freshly beaten and robbed, the guy knew that he didn't have anything to offer. So this was a real low point for him. Real low point. He's like, man, I done traveled all this way. I've gotten beaten, I've got robbed, I've got bitten, right? What am I gonna do? So he starts thinking to himself, man, how could all of this stuff so bad happen in such a short amount of time? How could all this stuff happen in one day? Then he starts thinking, man, did the traveler know about this? Why didn't he tell me this, right? Starts thinking to himself, was he in on it, right? Was he in on the robbery? Did he set me up? So the guy picks himself up and he heads back into town from where he's from. And he finally limps back into town, and the first place he goes to is to this traveler, right? And because he has the bone to pick with him now, because all this bad stuff has happened. So he goes and he talks to this traveler, and the traveler, just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as he is, he greets him and says, hey, hello, my friend. How was your trip, right? The guy said, hey, don't hello me. My trip was terrible, right? The trip was terrible. And the traveler is saying, you know, well, why so? Why was it terrible? And the guy is saying, hey, I got bitten by all these leeches all over my body. I had to burn them off. 3 guys beat and robbed me of everything that I had, right? And on top of that, I got to the alchemist and I couldn't get any information that was going to change my life because I didn't have anything to offer it. And it's all your fault, right? Traveler's looking like, he's looking him up and down like, it's my fault. Okay. So he's thinking to himself, oh yeah, why? Why is it my fault? And the businessman asked him, well, you knew that it was leeches in that river, didn't you? Traveler said, of course, I found it out a few years ago, right? Okay. And you also knew that those men were going to beat and rob me, didn't you? Traveler told him, well, they do that to everyone who doesn't come into their shack and pay their tax fee. They look at you as like you're a criminal, right? And so now the businessman, he's just furious. He's just, overwhelmed with just anger. So he said, why didn't you tell me that before I took the trip? Right? So the traveler's looking at him again and he just grinned. And he said, well, you told me all I need is how to get to the alchemist, nothing more, nothing less. And that is where the story ends. Now, my point here is, who is at fault in this story? Is it the traveler who didn't give the information? Or is it the businessman who didn't take time to get the information? I want to hear from you.